Hello, everybody, and big warm welcome to everybody joining us on our Teaching English live event. I was going to say Facebook, but actually it is Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So welcome everybody from all three platforms. It's quite an exciting day today because we are having our very first Teacher Educator focused live event called Preparing New Teachers for Real Classrooms. And we are joined by Dr. Lorena Kamstra, who has done a lot of research into the gap between our training and the reality of the classroom. She's an assistant professor at Nottingham University, and we are delighted to have her with us. Shirin will be the host today, and Shirin Soyas is a teacher educator and is also very involved in all our teacher educators communities of practice and the launch of our very new platform, which we will talk about more at the end. So that's bye from me. I'll be popping up later, and enjoy the conversation, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. And hi, Lorena. It's great to see you again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So yes, just to give you a brief background on how we met in the past. So we had a webinar with Dr. Lorena in August a while ago, and the topic was her research, and it was very popular. The webinar and the pre-webinar task also was very popular, and we believe your research has resonated with so many teachers and teacher educators around the world.
That's
So
true, yeah.
so we wanted to have a conversation with you. So it was a fantastic session, and because so many great questions were also left unanswered, it's really great to see you again in this follow-up event. So from the webinar, Lorena, what do you remember when you reviewed the questions teachers asked in the Padlet? In the pre-webinar task we created during the webinar, what stood out to you the most?
Yeah, so I think it's true what you're saying, that we had a lot of interest from teachers all around the world. I think we had maybe 900 people joining us in that webinar. And in those Padlets, which was sort of a pre-webinar task that I invited people to engage with before the webinar. So I was asking teachers to reflect on the challenges that they have in the classroom, and also to reflect on the training needs that they also have when they started in the profession, in the teaching profession as well. So when we finished the webinar, participants had the opportunity to ask questions as well. So I think some of the questions that stood out were questions related to the unrealistic expectations that many teachers have, and what is it that teacher educators can do. So I think we'll have the opportunity to discuss that today as well. So I think most of the questions were related to that.
Yes, definitely. So the webinar was preparing new teachers for real classrooms, challenges and solutions. And we explored how teacher training courses can better prepare new teachers for the realities of today's classrooms. And just to go back to your research, classroom management comes up at the top, or
Yes.
maybe you can tell us maybe what other insights you would like to highlight, and why this is missed from teacher training programs, from your observations or from your research.
Yeah, I think that's actually quite interesting. So it's true that classroom management is one of the top challenges, I would say, but it's not the only one. So 8 top challenges were found as part of my research. Classroom management is the second one. But when I was asking participants in that webinar to contribute to the Padlets, they discussed multiple challenges that they found in their own practices as well, and also in their training needs. Why you're asking me why is it that this is one of the needs that they have, or why is it that so many teachers struggle with this? The reason why I believe so many teachers struggle with this is it because every classroom is different. So it's very difficult to train teachers in this area. So every student is different. Every institution is different as well. So it's nearly impossible to train teachers in this area. So there is no one single rule that's going to apply for everybody. So I think that's why educators struggle in this area as well. Also, I think institutional constraints, curriculum constraints, time constraints as well, sometimes don't allow teacher educators perhaps to train in certain areas. So, but I can also perhaps discuss throughout this, Q&A, other challenges as well that we found.
Yes, we will reflect on these, and a warm welcome to all our participants, attendees watching this webinar from all different channels. So we have participants from Colombia, Myanmar, Algeria, so Peru, so from all around the world, Sudan, and hello and welcome everyone. So please let us know your questions, and we will discuss with our guest presenter, Lorena, about the challenges of teachers and based on her research. So again, you mentioned that there is a gap between teacher training in pre-service and the real classrooms and actually the reality of the classrooms. Would you tell us about your reflections again? Why is this gap happening?
Yeah, so I think, as I was perhaps mentioning, or at least what I found in this particular study, in which I was exploring this masters in the context of Spain, what participants said, those participants which were enrolled in the masters, so they were students in training, and also participants who were already in the classroom, so participants who had recently completed the training, what they said is that perhaps they didn't have enough time to practice, so lack of practical experience. So that's one of the reasons. So that's why they had this gap, right? So that's why they experienced this shock. So that's one of the reasons there. Another reason was definitely lack of training. So lack of training in several areas, which was then shared by many of the participants in these Padlets. So one of the areas was one that you just shared, which was classroom management. All the areas included areas such as inclusivity and diversity, for example. That's something also that came was a top challenge as well. So many participants mentioned that they were not able to support all their students in the classroom. And that was, as I was saying, one of the top challenges as well.
But when you say lack of training, don't they get the training at university? Or maybe in my case, I had the experience with practice teaching, but this was not enough. So why was, this reality shock? So is there a need for more training or more experience from your experience? What was missing in the teacher training at pre-service?
Yeah, thanks. So I think in this case, what participants said was that the experience in the classroom was too short. In some cases, it was just for a month, for example, that they were just given the opportunity to go into a high school for just 1 month. And when they were there, they were only given the opportunity to observe. So they were not given the opportunity to teach, for example. Or some of them, they only were given the opportunity to co-teach with someone else. So then for some of them, the first time that they actually went into teaching, it was just the first time that they were teachers. So they never had the opportunity to actually practice on their own and put into practice all the theory that they had learned in the training itself. So the practicum itself was very short, not enough, and then they would complain quite a lot about this. So they definitely needed a longer practicum, and yeah, that was not enough at all.
And you also mentioned that reality shock of the classroom. You used that term in your research. So, what were the reflections from your participants in your research? How did they define this reality shock? So, I believe
Yes.
it was quite shocking for them. So, what was really how they described it?
Yes, this was mentioned quite a lot, actually. This was very important in the findings. So what they said is that they were trained as if the for example, they were trained as if the classroom that they were gonna go in would be a perfect classroom, as if all the students were motivated, as if all the students had the same English level, as if the classroom was completely perfect. So it was completely unrealistic. So then when they, of course, went into the classroom and found themselves in a classroom in which students had completely different levels, were demotivated, didn't want to be there because this is compulsory education, of course. They were unable to manage the classroom, students who are diverse, students with different needs, students who are neurodivergent. Then, of course, they were completely in shock. So, and they were not prepared. So that's why they were referring to these unrealistic expectations and so on. So
So,
this
yeah.
utopian classroom then.
Yeah, so yes, that's so true. And yes, there are so many issues you have to, I mean, managing behavior, mixed ability classes, large groups in some contexts, and yes, they feel underprepared. So, what is the role of teacher educators then in that case? Did you also have a chance to observe or talk to teacher educators or in that case, pre-service teacher education institutions or any reflections on these?
Actually, not. So, as part of this study, I only talked to students who were in training, so who were enrolled in these masters, and students who had just finished this training. But it would be really interesting to talk to teacher educators who are delivering this training, and perhaps it's something that I could do in future research. I think that would be really interesting to hear from them. So what is really happening behind the scenes? Why is it that this training is not being delivered? But I'm not currently teaching in the context of Spain. I'm currently based in the University of Nottingham in England. But I know from my side of things, why is it that we're teaching what we're teaching, right? But yeah, that's an interesting question. I would definitely like to know more.
I remember there was also one question during the webinar about the skills and competencies of teacher educators. In that case, pre-service teacher educators, are they also well equipped to actually train pre-service teachers for those real classroom challenges, because they are maybe more into theory? I don't know, in maybe your experience, you can tell us what you think about those lack of training, lack of experience. Can this be also related to pre-service teacher educators' interests or competencies? What do you think?
So do you mean about teacher educators and their knowledge about what happens in high schools and schools? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes. So yes, do they know about enough? Of course, they know, but they are maybe more focused on the theory or not enough on practice or experience part.
Yeah, so I guess it depends, right? So we, of course, as academics, we know a lot of research and we keep on reading and keep on doing training and learning a lot about what's happening. And we try to be in contact with teachers. And of course, for example, I do research and I talk to teachers a lot and I interview teachers, I observe teachers, and I'm in contact with them quite a lot. But as a teacher educator, what I would do if I'm training future teachers, is I would bring teachers into my classroom. So future teachers could talk to teachers who are currently in the classroom as well, as I am not currently I'm not currently teaching into in a classroom myself, right? So I think that would be fair. That would be a fair way of making sure that my students are able to talk to teachers, to be in contact with a high school teacher in that case, right?
Yes, so more contact and more observations. So that's skills transfer, right, between those groups. So if you could then redesign one part of teacher training in Spain or globally, which part would you change first and why?
Yes. So, of course, I believe that theory is an important part. And I think students and future teachers need to understand all the theoretical part of it because it's important. They need to know all that. But having talked to all these students and all these teachers, I think the practical part needs to be longer. They need to be in the school, they need to be in the high school, they need to experience the teaching side of things. And something else that I would redesign in these teacher education programs, teacher training programs in the context of Spain, or perhaps in any other context, from what I hear from all these people who have been sharing their thoughts with me, is perhaps more training on individual differences, more training on neurodiversity, more training on classroom management, of course, as I can hear that that's something that people feel is a challenge for them. So that's something that I would definitely change.
So the needs of the learners are also changing. Do you think the teacher training curriculum and the scope should also be updated periodically? For example, is this also one of the challenges mentioned? For example, what did your participants in pre-service teacher education say about the content of the teacher training in terms of, is it meeting the needs in terms of dealing with the current challenges in the classroom?
No, it's not. So that's why I think we should definitely keep on updating it based on who we are teaching, right? So, and I think that's why there should be this sort of collaboration and communication. So we are all involved. And that's what I talk to them, right? So I talk to the students, I talk to the teachers themselves as well. So at the end of the day, we are a community. We should all be involved in this, in the decision of what are we going to be teaching at the end of the day. Because as you're saying, times are changing.
And how long does it take for them, do you think, for those new teachers to adapt to those new environments? I mean, is it, of course, there might not be a single one clear answer for this, but how long do they need to feel ready or prepared for all these challenges?
Do you mean a teacher educator or?
Yeah. As in the pre-service teacher education, actually, if we provide that training and experience, should it be over 4 years of university education? That training happens, but this experience usually comes towards the end of teacher training, right? But if it's not enough.
So do you mean the practicum or?
Yes, practicum. Mm-hmm.
So how long should it be? Is that the
Yes.
question?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that the thing is that that's up to the institution really. So how long they can offer, but so for me, in my opinion, the longer it can be, the better. So I think in some institutions it could be up to even to a year. So and there are some programs in which it lasts for even 2 years sometimes. So if it can be long, I think it should be. So if you can do theory at the same time that you're doing your practicum, that would be amazing. So you can apply the theory that you are learning at the same time that you are in the school teaching. So I think that should be ideal.
Then there is a big gap, right? From my experience, I can only reflect on my experience. It's done a little bit neglected, so it's left to the very end of teacher training, and then it's inevitable to feel underprepared. So I would like to look at the chat once again. So thank you, welcome everyone once again. It's great to see your comments. And I would also like to invite Karen if there are any questions we missed from the audience and any reflections from your end, Karen.
Hi, yes, so we've had a very active chat on all 3 streams. I'll start with Instagram. So we've got lots of teachers joining, and there's just lots of general feelings of, yes, this is exactly what happens with us. We had a comment from Hamad Hashemian talking about mixed ability, which I think you've mentioned, and the importance of differentiation being a problem in that gap. So that has been talked about across the different channels. We've got teachers joining us from all over the world, from Ghana and from, I've just got starred some of them, and from Sudan and from Venezuela. We've got here and from Peru and Argentina and from Thailand, all different ways. So we've got a comment here this was from Liliana, talking about her first experience. I had the fake teacher syndrome. I froze and it was a bit overwhelming. I'm sure we can all relate to that.
Yes.
And yes, this comment here from Maria: youngsters are always looking for fun and don't like assignments. Maybe you could come back to that one, because I've got another question as well before I go. Sharon, you were asking Lorena about the updating the curriculum and that difference between what learners are expecting nowadays, and maybe the teacher training was different. So that's one here asking about, youngsters are looking for fun and don't like assignments. And we've got another question here it's a bit of a longer one. This is from YouTube. Are teachers in training not required to complete a certain sum of hours teaching just by themselves? In Brazil, we must complete some hours teaching in order to get our degrees. Yeah. So those are some talking points for you. And yes, lots of great. Oh, we also did a poll on YouTube. Marcus did a poll on YouTube. Did your teacher training include a practical part? And 80% of people said yes.
Yes, that's great.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Over to you guys.
Thank you so much. So my understanding, new teachers are expected to perform like experienced teachers without enough classroom practice and realistic preparation. And maybe, this is my assumption, ongoing mentoring and support. And they feel overwhelmed, and which is a normal response to all these unrealistic expectations. And returning to this question again, the young people are looking for fun and don't like assignments. It's also about how the curriculum is all designed.
Yes.
So what would you say about that in terms of content and materials, preparing pre-service teachers for these challenges?
I think in terms of this challenge, this is more about classroom management. So this is more about setting expectations from early on. So this is especially for young teachers, so early career teachers are starting in their career. So setting expectations from early on. So I think that will be something really important. And so when you are perhaps starting in their profession, perhaps if you are not too sure about what to do, and if you experience this reality shock that we have been discussing today, perhaps talking to other teachers, trying to find that mentorship and that peer support, or perhaps even observing other teachers and seeing how they how they do it, how they deal with those younger teenagers, and then asking if you can sit and observe them and try to perhaps learn and then test the strategies that they use in their classes. And maybe if those strategies don't work for you this year or with this cohort particularly, just don't give up, because maybe they don't work this year, but maybe they will work next year, because with these particular students they don't work, but maybe next year they will. So I think that's some practical advice that I can give.
I really like that. So thank you so much for bringing this up, Lorena, because usually what teachers do, we often spend our energy fixing problems rather than reflecting on them, which is one of the most important areas. So it's about reflective practice. And for you, I mean, you have now, let's talk about what we could do in the future. What advice would you give to teacher educators delivering training to novice teachers or in pre-service teacher education, and even maybe in service, because these are the shared issues, because the profile of our learners are also changing, as well as the other aspects in education. So what advice would you give then?
Yeah, so for me, I think the best advice that I could give is perhaps don't isolate yourself. So try to perhaps find a colleague to share resources with and to share stories with as well. And as you just said, I think being sort of reflexive and reflecting on your own practices as well, I think that's very important. And I think what I share in my previous webinar as well, it's my key advice, which is putting your oxygen mask first. So I think that's really, really important. So always, especially when you are working with people. So this human relationship is really important, but you are not able to support others if you cannot think about yourself first, and if you are not in a good place yourself.
Mm-hmm. So when you said don't isolate yourself, this is really important. How they can share their needs? Would you recommend them talking to more experienced teachers, or joining communities, or maybe attending sessions like this?
Yes, like this
The
one.
council has lots of communities, can
Absolutely.
help, right? Such things. So, but yeah, do they do this actually? Are they aware of those professional development opportunities? What other recommendations would you have?
Yes, I would do exactly that. So not only, I would say, not only colleagues which are perhaps more experienced than you, but also colleagues who are in a similar position than you.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be afraid to perhaps, even you may think that you are just starting in the profession, but maybe someone, when you are 1 year in the profession, you can already help someone who is starting. So you can already start mentoring someone, although you think that you're just new. And that it's already a great opportunity. So being a mentor of someone, even if you're just 1 year in. And yeah, so you can become a mentor of someone and you can help each other.
Yes, that's a great tip. And yes, for teacher educators, again, just to summarize briefly, so there are also some suggestions like peer observation. So we can easily integrate these into our curriculum. So longer experience, practicum periods, and more opportunities for them, right, to get their hands dirty so that they can get that experience and feel maybe more confident. This confidence is the key. And I'd like to invite Karen once again to help us, because I couldn't really follow the conversations, Karen. So any updates from our...
Yes. Yeah, it's hard doing all of those things all at the same time. And all of a sudden, we've got a flurry of lots of comments. I just put one up here just a moment ago. This is from YouTube. How can we support the older teachers who seem tired of teaching for many years and motivate them to update their teaching methods?
Yes.
Any advice, Lorena?
I love this question because most of my research is based on teacher motivation. So I really like this. Motivation is contagious. So I think if you can just show how motivated you are by using these methods, and perhaps just sit down with this person and just show to them how motivated yourself you are, or perhaps just invite this person to your class and show them how your students are being, I don't know, excited and engaged in the classroom by using one of these methods. Perhaps they will be motivated to actually use this method themselves. And yeah, I think it's difficult to start using a new method for the first time, but if you just break it down in steps how to use this method, and you can actually share this with other colleagues as well, I think that will be share it widely as well with the community. I think we'll be excited to know about that.
Yeah, like you were just saying, Sharon, there's lots of different ways that we can connect with other teacher educators. There's another one here from Facebook. Just a comment, really, and I guess maybe if you've come across this, how do teachers update themselves?
So how could we update ourselves?
Yeah, I think this is a comment from Durry, just sort of saying teachers are not updating themselves, and so I guess, you know, new classroom management techniques, AI tools. You mentioned the disconnect before between the older curriculum and more modern methodologies, perhaps. And I guess it ties into what you and Sharon were talking about in sort of how to encourage teachers to get new ideas.
So I think this is something that actually participants in my project were saying as well, as how we also lack training on perhaps technology as well. That's something that is missing in their training in this study. And I think we should all keep on doing this and keep on learning new resources as well. And I think AI is a way in which we could get more training. And I think it's a way of being more creative as well. We could embed this into the classroom.
And the final comment, I think, here is sharing is important. Finding a community to share, it helps us deal with the difficulties and come up with new ideas. And it just so happens that we have, for teacher educators, we have a new community page, Facebook page. Are you involved in that, Sharon? Do you want to say a word or two about it?
Yes, I mean, I just joined the Facebook group. This is something we've been really looking forward to for a long time, because we, as teacher educators, I think we are a neglected group. Usually, most of the professional development programs are for teachers, but teacher educators are also unique. They support teachers, so they need to also talk to each other and share some other challenges. So it's a different kind of profile and identity. So there are some teachers maybe who are supporting other teachers, or who may not be aware of the fact that they are actually teacher educators, or who would like to take this new role, this new career in their professional journey. So we have started building that Facebook group, and in the future we will share and hopefully have more events in the future. And yes,
yeah, Marcus has just put the link to the Teacher Educator group there. I'll just bring it up. Here it is. For anyone who's interested, you're welcome to join. As you mentioned, for teacher educators and supporting teachers. Now, if any of the things that Dr. Lorena Kamstra has talked about has resonated with you, if it's had an impact on your teaching and you want to discuss anything further, you can get in touch with Lorena. Is there any? Have I covered that? Has that summarized it well, Lorena? And I will put her links in to the chat here.
Well, thank you so much, Lorena. It's just, I think it's really important that we realize what was missing, what we missed in our previous teacher training, and what can be covered in the future by teacher educators. So this is why we have this responsibility. I felt really happy when I heard that communities, I think we need more communities of practice within schools as well as outside, globally or local or regional, but teacher educators have a role in this. And you started a very nice conversation with this, with your research. and by making us feel more aware about what the gaps are, what the needs are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you both so much for coming along. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you, teachers, for joining us, and teacher educators for joining us from Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and from all over the world. That's it from us. We will see you very soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.